Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new. If you're new here, my name is Elena and I am the homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos. Here on the channel, we talk about everything from homeschooling to homemaking, all the things in between. I feel like I'm trying to speed through this and I'm going too quickly. Anyways, that's life here. Today we're going to talk about books. I try to do a reading, reviews, and recaps. I don't really have maybe that is just the title. We'll see what happens. But because I am a homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos, I don't have as much time as I would like to read, to dedicate to reading. Who has all the time they want to read though? I feel like we could always want to cram more reading into our lives, some periods, right? But when I do get to sneak in a few moments of reading, or when I find a book that I just can't put down, I like to recap what I have read as soon as I'm done reading it. Sometimes I have enough books where I can do a video monthly. This is only our 2nd episode, so I don't know if this will be a month since the last one, but if you want to see the first one, I will link it up here. And so that's what you're going to see here, just kind of a couple of books that I read throughout a period of time, and then when I feel like I have enough books on review, I cram it all together and make a video out of it. So here it is. Here's what I've been reading. Okay, so I just finished up 2 books this weekend, sort of this weekend. I finished up Finlay Donovan is Killing It. This is a mystery. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere. I typically don't read mysteries, but I picked this one up to participate in a reading challenge or readathon, and I really enjoyed it. A lot of people were saying it was really funny. I didn't find it like laugh out loud funny, but I did find her parts of being a mom very relatable. In case you haven't heard about it, it is about a single mom, and she is a writer. She's a struggling writer. She's having a meeting with her agent and discussing the next plot for her book, or discussing her next book, and someone overhears and mistakes her for an actual hit person, so a for-hire hit person, and it ensues from there. So I found this book to be easy to read. I actually read it in one day because I wanted to finish and know what happened, and I was just going to stop at this book. There is a second part to this book, but at the very end of the book there is an epilogue, and I was reading it and I got to the very last end of the epilogue, and that sealed it for me. I decided I needed to read the second book. So I don't want to give too much away, but if you pick this up, know that you definitely want to read the epilogue to see if you want to continue on with the next book. This copy of the book did have 2 chapters in the next book, but because I'm going to get it from the library, I didn't want to read it because then it would make me very antsy to want to hurry and get that. So I did enjoy this book. And I liked that it was a different genre and I could kind of dip my toes into that. The other book that I finished up was Hello Cruel Heart. This is a Cruella Deville kind of retelling. This talks about Cruella's life, her teenage years, and it takes place in the summer of 1967. I did like this book. This one is by Maureen Johnson, but there were parts of it where I felt like were a little bit maybe slow, and then there were parts of it where I just felt like maybe Cruella as a character kind of missed the obvious, but I can see where and why and how maybe that happened. Where if you're looking for something in particular, or if you're looking to want to belong to a group, you can kind of overshadow slights and faults and things like that. So I will say that I did enjoy hearing about London in 1967, and it kind of takes you there with, it's very much, it describes the styles because, as you may know, Cruella is a very stylish character, and it talks about her ambitions in that world and kind of some of the things that her thought process and things like that. And so it was enjoyable. It does have her sidekicks Horace and Jasper in here too, and talks briefly on their meetings. This, I think, is kind of a fill in the blank of the movie Cruella that came out. And I thought it just kind of plugged in nicely there. And this was just over one summer. So they do pack a lot in that one summer. And it kind of shows a little bit more of Cruella and who she is as a person, and how she kind of starts to form this hardness, I think, of her character, of her soul, of her heart maybe, and why that happens to her. It was an easy, light read. Again, this one I finished, I think, in just like a couple of days. So this one was also fun. It was a fun read. I picked this one up for our Disney Descendants readathon, but I finished it at the time of recording. This is still June. So the readathon doesn't start until July. So I may pick up a different spinoff for Cruella. We'll see. Okay, I just wrapped up Great or Nothing. I actually finished this like a day ago or so. I'm about to go return it back to the library because we're coming up on my library books due dates. I think I had like maybe 3 more days from this big book haul that I got. If you didn't see that, I'll link that video for you. Anyways, thankfully I was able to renew most of the books, but I did finish this one, so I wanted to get back into the library in case anybody else wanted to read it. But I thought this was a cute retelling. This is a retelling of Little Women, and it takes place during World War II. In this version, Beth has passed away, and it talks about the other sisters and how they kind of go off in different directions and their stories there. So I thought that it was really neat to read during the World War II kind of timeline and to just kind of see how the authors pieced it together. This book is actually written by 4 different authors, but it didn't feel that way. Sorry, the clouds are going in and out. I know there's like weird lighting in here. It kind of looks like I have a black eye, but I don't. If I maybe stood this way, you would see it better, but you would also see the chaos that is. I digress. This was a great book. It was a fun read. I read it in just a few days. I was able to read it in a few days because my hubby was home and we were just having some really quiet, chill days. And so I had been taking this book in and around with me in the house to finish reading it. But like I was saying, it is written by multiple authors, but it doesn't feel that way at all. It really read like one cohesive story from different points of view. So each chapter takes on the view of one of the sisters, and then it kind of cycles through in that manner. So this was good. I liked it. If you like the story of Little Women, also if you like sort of historical fiction, I would say it falls in that line because of the timeline of it all, then you may enjoy this as well. But as far as retellings go, I thought, like I said, this was a cute version of it. It's not too long. It's 390 pages, but it is an easy read where I was, like I said, able to finish it within a week. So finish this one, let's go return it, and then move on to our next book. Okay, I just finished reading The Christmas Pig by JK Rowling. I actually saw this all over during Christmas time, clearly, but I didn't pick it up because it was Christmas time and I wasn't shopping for myself. But I did take a look at it. I lie. I picked it up a couple times and then I put it back down. And I put it back down because I was like, this looks cute, but I mean, it's not a Harry Potter, so let me put it back down. But our library ended up having 2 of these copies on their shelves as I went in, and I went ahead and just grabbed one to pick it up because I wanted to see what it was about. Sorry, I'm giving you such glare there, but in case you haven't seen it, here is the cover of it. It's really cute, and then on the back side here, it's got like the cover wraps around, and it's got more cuteness on the back there. It says it's illustrated by Jim Field, and there are a couple of illustrations throughout the book. So I went into this just kind of having a little bit of fun. Christmas in the summer, if you will. I would say Christmas in July, but at the time of filming it is still June, so a little earlier Christmas in July. I just really felt like it was going to be a really cute, fun children's story, and it is that. But as you get deeper into the book, there are some hidden lessons in there, and I think that is spectacular, and I think it is something that even as adults we could use the reminder sometimes. The book is broken up into parts, and it has 9 parts. The 9th part is very, very short. It's only 1 chapter long. But about the 5th or 6th part, there are some lessons in here that's where I was like, it just really touched my heart, and I just thought that they were sweet and sincere, and it just, like I said, it touched my heart. There's a bit in here about hope. Hope is a character in here, but also it is the feeling of hope. And she says, I may not shine as brightly as my friend Happiness, but my flame is harder to extinguish. And I just thought that was such a great analogy of hope. It was just such a great description, and it was just sweet and enduring and a great reminder. So I did really enjoy this book. I'm glad that I picked it up. It will be something that I want to add to our collection eventually. For now, this is a library book, so I need to return it. But I'm going to return it, and hopefully more people will pick it up, because I just thought it was the sweet, endearing, childlike story, or children's story that I thought it would be, but it also had some really great nuggets for anyone, really, even adults, I felt could really cling to and just glean from. So if you haven't read this, I would pick it up and read it if you're looking for something lighthearted and fun and something that gives a little bit of hope. So I just finished another book. This one was the second book in the Finlay Donovan series, Finlay Donovan Knocks Him Dead. I don't know if she's coming out with a third book. I didn't look at it, but I really feel like I need to stop here. I don't normally read mystery thrillers, but the end of the first book, I needed to know about the second book. So if you've not read the first book, I will put a timer here so you can skip the review of this one, because I am going to say something that is a spoiler for the first book. So if you have read the first book and you read the epilogue, you know at the end of the book, it is her ex-husband, Finlay's ex-husband, that there is a hit on. And so I wasn't going to read the second book. I was just going to read the first one. I just wanted to read something out of my genre. I don't normally like intense books that are about murders and things like that. At least I don't think I do. I don't know. I guess Harry Potter series has some murders. I don't normally read, like I said, this genre of books, but the first one I read very quickly. It was pretty good. There were funny bits, but in the epilogue, like I said, she finds out that there is a hit for her ex-husband, and so I just needed to know, right? So this finally came in at my local library. It was I had put it on hold and it came in. So I read this book in 2 days. I stayed up way too late reading, and then I finished it off the next day because I just needed to know the answers. I don't feel like this one disappointed at all. I feel like it was just as good as the first one. But I think I'm going to take a step back from murder thrillers. There are funny bits in this one, just like in the first one. It was an easy read, easy to follow along and things, and lots of twists and turns, things that made you kind of double guess, and just when you thought you had it figured out, turns out you didn't. The ending had a total surprise to it. I don't want to give too many spoilers to this book in case you haven't read it, but like I said, it was a quick read. I was able to read it in just a couple of days, and I enjoyed it. But for me, I usually read for an escape and happy endings and things, and I think I'm going to lay off these types of genres for a little bit, but I did enjoy the book, and I did think that it was a good follow-up to the first book. Sometimes you can get to the sequels of books, or as you get further along in the series, it's just not quite as good, but I felt like this one was just as good. It stood up to the first book. I'll probably switch back over to my more Hallmarky movie type books, is what I call it. That's not a real genre. It's just one that I've made up. It's books that remind me of the all tied up in a neat bow happy ending Hallmark movies that I like. So I can't say too much about this one because, like I said, I don't want to give it away, but in here she does go on pursuit of finding out who it is that wants to kill her ex-husband, and of course her and her babysitter slash friend ensue a lot of other things and find themselves getting into situations that they probably didn't intend to get into, and it just gets more and more chaotic until they finally unscramble it to the best of their ability. So if you have read the first one, I would go ahead and recommend this one to you as well. Yeah. But for me, I think I need to take a break. It was a good book. It was a good two books, but I'm switching back over to my, like I said, made up Hallmark movie genre. I recently wrapped up 2 more books, and just in time because all of our library books are getting ready to be due. I actually think they might be due today. So I want to make a trip to the library and pick up some new books, but let me wrap up what I finished reading. First, I went ahead and I read Ickabog by JK Rowling. Rowling? You think? By now, I would know. Anyways, finished this book. This book was interesting to me. I had, I think, vaguely heard about it, but I hadn't heard tons about it. So in this book, in her, I believe it's like in the foreword, she talks about how the idea came to her a long time ago. This is just the foreword. Isn't that pretty? That's the forest, I believe, just big. Oh no, or no, maybe I think it's grass blades. Anyways, but she talks about how she had come up with the idea a while back ago, but she kind of set it aside and never finished it. She was just kind of writing it for her kids, and then it it stayed there for over a decade, and then the pandemic hit, and she brought it back out of the attic just to give kiddos something new to read and something to kind of like new chapters to look forward to. So she gave it away for free, putting it online and asking children to illustrate it. And so in the book there are illustrations from children, which is pretty neat to see. Some of these are so like so good. Like I was deeply impressed. I'm like, wow, that's the child. That's 12-year-old. That was by Lucy, age 12. And then, you know, they have just some other really adorable pictures too. So I thought the pictures in here give it a nice touch. I'm glad that they were included in the final print of the book. The book is about a monster that is believed to be mythical, the Ickabog. And it's kind of how the people use it to manipulate first their children into going to bed early, right? They tell stories about the Ichabod will come and get you if you don't behave or if you don't go to bed on time. In Mexican folklore, it kind of reminded me of Llorona, where that being brought up, that was, you know, this tale. Comment down below if you know what that is. But then it morphs into where the adults, a mistake happens, an accident, and then they blame the Ichabod, and kind of just how the lies and deception keep going from there, and then how that unfurls. Their character names are very, like one character's name is Spittleworth, and he is the one that kind of takes off with the lies at first, the bigger lies. So for me, I was reading it and he was just really only worth his spittle. So, you know, kind of the naming of it is pretty dead on for their characters. Some of them are just like the king's name is Fred. So some of them are not as, I guess, in depth or something like that. But anyways, I found the book to be pretty good. I liked it. I'm glad that I read it. It is a children's story, so I wasn't expecting anything too hard hitting, but I did find at times, especially when my anxiety was at an all-time high, I needed to put the book down, only because the way that I just didn't want any more sad, or I just at some points in when I was reading this, not because of this book, but at some points I had to put it down because I needed something a little bit more uplifting. But at the end of the book, it is really uplifting. There are parts where there is sadness, there is death in here. So be warned for that if your children are sensitive to that, or if you're reading it to your kiddos. I did not read this to my kids. I just read it on my own. This I probably would not read to my littles, just because of the way that, just because I know that mine are not at that level yet to handle some of the death. But yours may be okay with that, and then you can read that, or you may be okay with that and you want to read it. It is, like I said, like I keep saying, it is a kid's story, so the deaths aren't like described too horribly, but know that that's in there. All in all, I thought there was a good lesson in here, truth, right, about how first deception and lies are out there. Most oftentimes the beast comes from us humans and not this kind of made up mythical thing. So I don't star rate my books, like I don't give them star ratings, but out of 5, I would say this was probably like a 3.5, maybe 4, because it was a good lesson, but like I said, I did have to put it down at certain points. And then I also read Love is a Revolution. So this is the book I actually picked up when I paused the Ickabog. It wasn't that it was more fun, caring, easygoing. There are some real, sorry, they're library books, so that glare is it's not great. This book is about Nala Robertson and her cousin sister friend Imani. So Nala lives with Imani, who is in fact her cousin, but she also is like her sister because she lives with her and she's her friend. She's like her best friend. And so it's about how the girls are coming of age and they are finding their own voices and kind of finding their own selves. Imani is kind of going one way and Nala is kind of going a different way, but how they're both still connected. So there's that story within this story, because the main, like the inside cover of it talks about, the little blurb talks about more about Nala and Ty. And Ty is an activist and spends the summer putting on events for the community, it says, while Nala would rather watch movies and try out the new seasonal flavors at the local creamery. So Nala tells a little white lie, again with the lying, she tells a little white lie to impress Ty, and then it just kind of keeps going from there. And so we go on this adventure with them, and how Nala is just trying to figure out who she is, and there are points where she wants to tell Ty the truth, but something keeps stopping her. I thought that this book, though, was so good. I thought it was a great little story. Nala is a caring person. I thought that her activism maybe was shown in a different way. So she does believe in a lot of the hardcore messages that than the characters that were made to believe are more activist, quote unquote activist type believe in. So they are preaching, the other characters are preaching love for Harlem and love for one another, and Nala is showing it in her love for her family members. And so both are showing love and both are wanting to improve situations. They're just doing it in different ways, and I just thought that it was such a great way to show the both comparison and contrast in that. And so I really liked this book. I would definitely recommend it. It is a lighthearted read in that it is a quick read. It deals with some real issues, so not lighthearted in that way, but lighthearted in like an easy read. It's only 290 pages, so a quick read, and I think I did end up reading it in like 2 or 3 days. Again, Love is a Revolution by Renée Watson. I don't think I said that. It is by Renée Watson, and I really enjoyed this book. I think I will go check to see if she has any more at our library and see if I enjoy her other books as well. But that's gonna do it. I'm gonna wrap up the reading wrap up here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you enjoy this kind of style of reading wrap up. I can't really sit down at the end of the month and do a full wrap up. One, because I probably won't remember my thoughts on them right away, so I try to capture it just as soon as I finish the books. But two, I'm not really sure that I can do like a full month. I think that I'm trying to. This is only my second video. Anyways, at this point, I'm rambling. Let me know what you thought of the video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you're reading. Let me know if you read any of these books, or if you have any suggestions for new books that I should be looking for. Thanks again for watching, and if you haven't heard, please know you are deeply and truly loved and so appreciated. Thanks again for watching.